Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Tony Camella, physical therapist with E3 Rehab. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you various exercises aimed at improving thoracic spine range of motion. These will include a total of 4 progressions, 2 which place an emphasis on thoracic rotation or twisting side to side, and 2 for thoracic extension or bending backward. There are subtle differences between these which will vary depending on individual needs, goals, etc. For example, one progression from each will include more shoulder movement. If you are someone that finds these too challenging or they create shoulder discomfort, you may benefit from performing one of the other options. After I review these exercises, I'm going to provide some insight as to why these may be helpful if you're someone who experiences neck stiffness, if you're looking to improve shoulder range of motion, or even increase performance during various athletic activities. Additionally, I'm going to explain why these may even be advantageous if you're looking to reduce pain at various joints. But first, let's start off with the exercises. First up, thoracic rotation progression number 1. There are 4 exercises in this progression in order from easiest to hardest. Level 1, side lying thoracic rotation. Start on your side with knees and hips bent and head supported. Keeping your eyes on your hand, reach your hand back toward the ground behind you, rotating through your mid-back. Return to the start and repeat. Level 2, half kneeling thoracic rotation. Similar motion, but in a half kneeling position. Rotate over the up knee, reaching the arm as far back as you can. Return to the starting position and repeat. Level 3, half kneeling thoracic rotation on a wall. Place the knee closest to the wall in a down position. Rotate outward over the up knee, reaching the arm back, trying to touch the wall. Return to the starting position and repeat. Compared to the previous exercise, this helps maximize rotation and allows you to gently leverage through the front arm in order to rotate further. And level 4, half kneeling thoracic rotation on a wall with the front foot elevated. Same position as before, except now you will place the front foot on an elevated surface. This position will move the hip into deeper flexion and therefore help minimize lower back contribution. Rotate over the up knee, reaching back towards the wall. Return to the starting position and repeat. If you find any of these uncomfortable on the shoulder, an easy modification is to place the hand behind the head or hold the arms across your chest as you rotate. Rotation progression number 2. These 4 exercises will be very similar to the previous progression, except they move the shoulder through a larger range of motion. If these are too challenging or uncomfortable on the shoulder, progression number 1 might be a more appropriate starting option. However, if your goal is to place additional emphasis on the shoulder, these are a great consideration. Level 1, side lying thoracic windmill. Start on your side with knees and hips bent and head supported. Start with your arm out in front and slowly slide your hand along the ground like you are making a half circle. Return to the start and repeat. If you cannot touch the ground, just keep your arm at a height which is comfortable to you. Level 2, half kneeling thoracic windmill. In a half kneeling position, rotate over the up knee, trying to make a big circle with the arm as you rotate through your spine. Return to the starting position and repeat. Throughout the movement, keep your eyes on the moving hand as this will help maximize thoracic rotation. Level 3, half kneeling thoracic windmill on a wall. The knee closest to the wall will now be in the up position. Move your arm in a circle and rotate through your spine, trying to keep your arm off the wall. Return to the starting position and repeat. If you find that placing the knee and hip against the wall is too hard, you can place an object between your body and the wall, or start at level 2 and progress as tolerated. And level 4, half kneeling thoracic windmill on a wall with the front foot elevated. Same setup as the previous option, except now you will place the front foot on an elevated surface. Again, this position will move the hip into deeper flexion, minimize lower back contribution, and make it more challenging for thoracic rotation. Rotate over the up knee, drawing a half circle, and then return to the starting position and repeat. For thoracic rotation, choose an exercise from either progression which is appropriately challenging to you. Parameters for these will vary based on individual needs, goals, etc., but 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions on each side, 2 to 4 times a week, should be suffice for a majority of people. After performing a given exercise for 3 to 4 weeks, try and progress to the next level if tolerated. Thoracic extension progression number 1. There are 3 exercises in this progression, and they all use a foam roller. If you do not have access to a foam roller, you can try using a rolled up towel, another object, etc., or try the second progression. Level 1. Thoracic extension with head supported. Place a foam roller across your thoracic spine or middle back. Extend your spine back as far as comfortable, hold 1 to 2 seconds, and then return to a flexed position. Repeat this motion of extension and flexion along multiple points of the thoracic spine. The goal is to extend through your mid-back, so try not to let your lower back arch excessively. Level 2. Thoracic extension with arms overhead. Same setup, but this time take your hands and reach them overhead. Extend back as far as comfortable, hold 1 to 2 seconds, then return to a flexed position and repeat. Again, try not to let your lower back arch excessively. And level 3, weighted thoracic extension with arms overhead. Hold a weight and reach overhead, extending over the foam roller. You can use a plate, kettlebell, dumbbell, etc. Hold the end position for 1 to 2 seconds, return to the starting position, and then repeat. Perform this movement with the roller placed at various points along the thoracic spine. If your shoulder is sensitive to the overhead position, start with the head supported option and progress to the other ones as tolerated. Thoracic extension progression number 2. These 3 exercises will also move the thoracic spine through extension, but will require the shoulder to be placed in an overhead position. If these are too challenging or uncomfortable on the shoulder, level 1 from the first progression might be a more appropriate starting option. However, if you do not have access to a foam roller and your shoulder can tolerate this position, here are 3 exercises which can be performed using a bench, couch, ottoman, etc. Level 1. Thoracic extension on a bench with arms overhead. Kneel on the ground and place your hands on a bench or another surface. Keeping your arms straight, sit back to your heels, moving your shoulder into an overhead position. Actively pull your chest through the arms while extending through your thoracic spine. Return to the starting position and repeat. Level 2. Thoracic extension on a bench. Now place your elbows on a bench or another surface and hold your hands together. As you sit back towards your heels, bend your elbows and actively pull your chest through your arms. In addition to thoracic extension, this places more tension on the triceps and lats, so you may also feel a stretch in these areas. Hold the end position for 1 to 2 seconds and then return to the start and repeat. And level 3, thoracic extension on bench with a dowel. With your elbows on a bench or another elevated surface, hold onto a stick or dowel with the shoulders in an externally rotated position. Sit back towards your heels, bend your elbows, and actively pull your chest through your arms. Hold the end position for 1 to 2 seconds, and then return to the start and repeat. The stick will keep your shoulders in an externally rotated position, which will place additional emphasis on stretching the lats. For thoracic extension, choose an exercise from either progression, which is appropriately challenging for you. Again, parameters for these will vary based on individual needs, goals, etc., but a general recommendation is performing these for 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions 2 to 4 times a week. After performing a given exercise for 3 to 4 weeks, try and progress to the next level if tolerated. These are some of my favorite progressions and exercises for working on thoracic rotation and extension. Out of all these options, you should be able to find an appropriate starting place for you. However, I think it's also really important to understand why improving this range of motion is so important. Like I said in the beginning, there are various reasons or circumstances where you might benefit from possessing more range of motion here. One of these reasons is for improving neck range of motion. In an article by Sang and colleagues, researchers found that motion of the thoracic spine contributed to neck mobility. When you move your neck into flexion and extension, more than 1/3 of that movement comes from the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine also contributes to neck side bending and rotation, but to a lesser degree, about 25% and 15% respectively. So what does this mean? Well, if your neck is feeling stiff or limited in any direction, neck stretching may still be beneficial. However, to maximize neck range of motion, you should also include exercises targeting the thoracic spine, just like the ones mentioned previously. This is also similar for the shoulder. Barrett and colleagues found that increased thoracic kyphosis created an immediate limitation in shoulder range of motion. Miyashita and colleagues demonstrated that thoracic movements made major contributions to shoulder external rotation in throwing athletes. Suzuki and colleagues found that increased thoracic extension increased scapular thoracic posterior tilting and shoulder external rotation. And Lewis and colleagues showed that changing posture to include more thoracic extension and less kyphosis increased shoulder flexion and abduction. So if your goal is to maximize shoulder overhead range of motion, abduction, or external rotation, exercises addressing the shoulder can still be helpful, but to maximize function, you should also be including thoracic mobility exercises. Tennis, golf, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, cricket, weightlifting, CrossFit, and so on. If the sport or activity you participate in requires dynamic movement of the shoulder, the neck, and/or spine, which most do, then in order to maximize performance, you would benefit greatly from improving thoracic spine range of motion. And finally, in terms of pain, these may be helpful because they allow you to explore movement that you might not have been able to do previously. Or in other words, they may allow you to express more movement variability. This has the potential to reduce pain, discomfort, or sensitivities around various joints, such as the neck, shoulder, or even the low back. In summary, if you're looking to help with neck stiffness, improve shoulder range of motion, athletic performance, or even potentially reduce pain, incorporating some type of thoracic extension or rotation exercise is going to be extremely beneficial. The progressions and exercises I showed previously are all great options. Just find an appropriate starting place for you and progress as tolerated. All right, that is it for today's video. As always, thank you for watching. Please do us a favor, tap that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you have any questions or even suggestions for future content, just drop those below in the comments. We'll see you guys next time.